Okay, it's now been almost a month since the Season 3 update dropped for Street Fighter 6, and I think now that we've all had a chance to play and test all of the changes, I kind of want to do like a yap session, and I think the plan here is I'm going to go over my opinions on each of the major changes that were introduced in Season 3, and how they've kind of settled out now that we've had a chance to play them all. Which ones were, I think, good for the health of the game, which ones were bad for the health of the game, specifically from my perspective as a competitive player. Before we get started, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and let's get on with the video. I think we'll start with the system mechanics, and the first one I want to talk about is the perfect parry nerf. So I won't go into too much detail about how all this stuff works. I'll assume you guys actually paid attention to the update, but perfect parry has been nerfed, and now you can only get a perfect parry if you parry while blocking in the correct direction, mid versus low. Otherwise, you'll get an imperfect parry. So I think overall, now that this has had a chance to kind of settle out, I really like this change. I think perfect parry was way too spammable before. It was too easy to just hold down back and just tap parry and just kind of like wait and see what happens. And I think what I really like about this change is that parrying now feels intentional. And what I mean by that is I'm actually thinking about my opponent's kit when I go for a parry now. So for example, if I'm playing against a character like, let me think of a good example here. If I'm playing against a character like Honda, for example. Now, the thing about Honda is that Honda does not have good lows. He does not have like any good way of threatening me low at distance, which means that when I'm playing against Honda, I'm more incentivized to parry while standing because I'm actually considering Honda's tools when I go for a parry. So against Honda, I'm more likely to go for a stand parry because he doesn't have good lows. But against a character like, I don't know, like a Shoto, like a Ryu, for example, at this distance, the most likely thing for Ryu to press is crouch medium kick. So that means that I have to actually think about what Ryu's likely to do and then go for a crouching parry to preemptively assume he's going to go for a low. So I think this is really good. Like, I'm actually considering my opponent when I go for parries now. It's not just brain dead tap parrying. And just in general, I think this is a good update, and that improved the parry mind game a lot. But that being said, though, there has been a little bit of criticism of this change. And for me, the only negative I have about the perfect parry nerf is more about an accompanying change that didn't actually happen. So I've been thinking a bit about something that Big Bird said recently. I don't know if you guys saw this tweet. So Big Bird said, hot take, I think the new parry change in SF6 unironically might actually increase volatility instead of decreasing it. Perfect parry used to bail you out a lot on defense, but now you've got to hold a lot more on defense, and blocking isn't exactly great in this game. So the risk reward for parrying isn't equal anymore. This change would have been great if they toned down the offense, but it's the same with worse defense, and I kind of agree with this. I can definitely relate to this perspective. For me, when I saw that they were nerfing perfect parry, I was like, surely this means that nerfing perfect parry is going to be a counterbalance to work alongside nerfing throw loops. And, you know, I don't want to relitigate the throw loop discussion for the 10,000th time. I've already done enough videos about throw loops, but the perfect parry changes are good, but they just feel a little bit weird, given that throws across the board have barely been touched. A couple of characters got their throw pressure toned down, so it's not really a criticism of the perfect parry changes, but more about like how defense is now weaker in a lot of situations, but the equivalent offensive tool hasn't been toned down to match that. I think that's the criticism here. Especially if you play a character with bad defense. I think that's also another thing worth mentioning. If you play a character with no invincible reversal in Street Fighter 6, previously, your best option as a defensive tool, your only strong defensive tool in this game, was perfect parry. And perfect parry got toned down, but the offense didn't. Like I said, in isolation, I really like the perfect parry change, but in the context of the overall changes, feels like it probably should have come alongside universal throw nerfs, but that's just my opinion. Alright, the second thing I want to talk about is something that I don't like. I might be the only person that's complaining about this one. So you now get a chunk of drive and some super gauge for teching throws. That was the other sort of system change that I feel was like Capcom's main selling point of this update. And I thought I was kind of looking forward to this change. This felt like a sort of light attempt to nerf throw pressure. But having now played this for a month, I don't like this change at all. I don't like how it was implemented. I don't like how it's affected the game. So the thing with this change is that I think it does not remotely affect your defensive decision making at all, right? There is not a single time since this update dropped where I've thought to myself, I don't think my opponent is likely to throw, but if I go for a throw tech here, I'll get more resources, so maybe it's worth doing. I don't think anyone on the planet has ever made that calculus because of how risky going for techs is. So at no point has this change made any impact on player decision making. I think that's the problem I have with it. It's just a thing that happens passively. You tech the throw and you get more resources, but it doesn't change any part of the decision-making process for teching the throw. It's never something you aim for. And I think that's led to some kind of wonky outcomes. So one thing I have noticed a lot since Season 3 dropped is a lot of characters are now getting level 3s and CAs in round 1. And I don't like that one bit. Like, the meter build in this game is already extremely high. You know, characters can build a bar of super on a single combo. And this has just jacked it up even more. Like, previous to this update, like in Season 1 and Season 2, it was possible to get level 3s in round 1 sometimes, but it was relatively rare occurrence. But I feel like it's happening all the time in Season 3, just because you're constantly getting, like, little increments of meter by doing whatever it is you're going to do anyway on defense. So I can't speak to Capcom's intention, but I don't really get the impression that this degree of meter build this fast and this early in the game is part of some grand plan. It's kind of the opposite of the perfect parry change, because the perfect parry change rewards you for actually thinking and changing your intent when you go for a parry, like thinking about what your opponent is likely to do. Whereas the throw tech change is the exact opposite, where nothing about your decision making has changed, you just get resources. Meter has been deposited in your account. I played a game where I won off CA for both rounds. That's happened to me. I mean, I actually saw that at a tournament recently. I watched CEO. It was Ending Walker versus Xian's Kimberly. And Xian's Kimberly won round 2 with a level 3, and then won round 3 with a level 3. He got level 3 on 2 consecutive rounds, which I think is excessive. I do not think that level of meter build is healthy for the game. Personally, again, I just want to stress this is my opinion, but yeah, I don't really like this change. Alright, number 3, character balance. So I'm not going to go through and relitigate the entire balance patch from a character balance perspective, and I'm also not about to make a tier list before you guys ask. It's still early, and I'm still trying to figure out the shape of the character balance in the Season 3 update. So I think, overall, the character strength is pretty nicely condensed. I don't think there's an enormous gap between the weakest and strongest characters. But to be honest, that's just Street Fighter 6. Like, I don't think character balance has ever been massively uneven in any version of this game. Just because of how every character is at the mercy of the system mechanics. It's kind of impossible for a character to be, like, unviable, really, in the context of Street Fighter 6. So I don't think any character is, like, hilariously overpowered or underpowered, but I also think that's just the way Street Fighter 6 is by design. But that being said, I do want to talk about one aspect of the balance that I'm not fond of in this version, and it's a couple of characters that I think don't really stay in line with the risk-reward of the rest of the cast. I want to be absolutely clear here. I'm not saying these characters are overpowered or top 2 or anything like that. I just think they're kind of the main offenders here, and I think they could do with a bit of tidying up in a future update. And those 2 characters for me are Ryu and Mai. Their risk-reward is just a little bit off right now. So, like, for example, my EX fan, this thing, it still completely locks you down for like 2 or more consecutive strike throw mix-ups. Like you've got like the layer 1 mix-up there where you get like the throw here. And then even if you don't fall for that one, you've got a second mix-up. You basically just get 2 attempts at opening your opponent up because you yeeted an EX move in neutral. And it has very limited counterplay. Like you can perfect parry, but even then that's a little bit scary because sometimes you'll perfect parry and they'll delay their drive rush and your normal will whiff. You can walk back out of it, but that's also risky because of how good her drive rush lows are, like this. The risk reward I just feel on moves like this is just not very well tuned right now, especially compared to the changes that a lot of other characters got. Speaking of changes that other characters got, I've mentioned this before. She still has the most brain-dead throw loop in the game, by far. She still has the +3 situation after forward dash, which loops into itself with no delays, and you can still shimmy. And like I said, to be clear, this is not me saying that other characters can't do throw loops, but it's more about like how one-dimensionally these characters operate to get the same outcomes as other characters having to work harder for it. Like, I don't feel like you need to invest a ton of time into a character like Mai to be able to run her game plan. Like, even if you've never played Mai before, I feel like I could teach you to do like her basic game plan in 15 seconds. It's just really straightforward and one-dimensional and doesn't have any clear weaknesses. And I think for me, what it is that I'm kind of concerned that pro players throughout this season are just gonna go like, yeah, my character has cheap stuff too, but like, why would I bother working towards that when I can just pick Mai or I can just pick Ryu? Like already, a lot of Shoto players are migrating to Ryu. So yeah, they're just kind of like a bit too simple and their reward is a little bit too high for their low risk options. Things in terms of Ryu, I've talked a lot about Mai here, but like Ryu, his damage output is absurd. His heavy donkey kick is still safe on block and very difficult to whiff punish. Hashogeki, light Hashogeki is still safe on block and gives a full combo if it counter hits. He's got a lot of ways of giving himself plus frames without too much trouble. Like the example that I was talking about earlier, I was using Elena as an example. So like, this is what Elena has to do to get plus frames in this game, right? 1, 2, and then this, and you get to be plus 1. This is what Elena has to do to reward herself with plus frames. You have to spend about 200 frames rolling across the screen into an extremely telegraphed DI vulnerable follow-up for the privilege of being +1 outside of throw range. But that's not really an issue. Like, this is still a really good move, this thing. If you use it well, this is a good move. But it's kind of like, if you're a competitive player and you look at Elena having to do all that to be +1, you're probably just going to think to yourself, like, well, okay, I could just do this, and I'd be +3. You know? So again, it's not about saying that Ryu and Mai are overpowered or anything. It's more just like the amount of effort they have to put in to get the same outcomes as other characters just feels a bit weird right now. So yeah, I feel like this is going to disincentivize character specialists sticking with their mains, and they're just going to go fuck it and pick Ryu or Mai or someone like that. Again, just my opinion though. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's efforts with these characters. If you're cooking with Ryu or Mai, then I wish you all the best, but I'd like to see just a few tweaks. All right. And the final thing I kind of want to talk about in this Season 3 wrap-up is Elena, because Elena was one of the main features added with the Season 3 update. And Elena's kind of disappeared a little bit, and I have seen quite a few people dooming about this character, but can I be honest? I actually think she's flying under the radar a little bit right now. I've been playing quite a lot of Elena quietly off stream, and I think she's pretty underexplored at the moment. She's really well designed. I wish every other character had the same design philosophy with their throws as Elena does. Everyone should have Elena's throw, where, you know, you can do throw loops, but you have to drive rush, and it's pretty tight. I think she's really well designed. I think she's really fun to play. She could probably do with, like, some small quality of life fixes like Terry got. Like, maybe give her the ability to combo, like, crouch light kick into stand light kick. That would be pretty good, because then you could, like, do this to stop people walking back, because her lows are pretty bad. But I don't think she needs much in the way of buffs. Like, again, I'm not an Elena doomer. I don't think she's bad. I just think she needs a few little tweaks. But yeah, I think she's a really cool character. I think she's actually one of the best parts of the Season 3 update. I encourage more people to give her a try because, like I said, everyone seems to have given up on her. And I'm really glad that she still feels like Elena, but at the same time, she's not a brain-dead high-low dispenser like she was in Street Fighter 4. They did a good job, so like, well done, Capcom. Good job on Elena. Anyway, so I guess to wrap things up, my overall thoughts on the Season 3 are that I think it was generally a move in the right direction, but quite a small move in the right direction. And I think this update kind of confirms to me that Street Fighter 6 is probably never going to have a big major gameplay shakeup. I think Capcom feel that they kind of nailed the game on day one, and everything afterwards is just kind of tinkering with things. I like the parry nerfs. I don't like the throw tech changes. Character balance is good, but it always has been. And I really like Elena. 6 out of 10 update for me. Pretty good, could be better. See me after class. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys all in the next video.